Discovered my girlfriend secretly aborted our pregnancy using herbs and deceived everyone. Now she's avoiding the truth and I'm lost. I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 26F, for 4 years. She has told me she always wanted children. We just didn't actively try for one though. I never pressured her into having a baby, it was more so her idea. I make enough and we own a home, so having a baby is something we can do. So, to clarify, I'm not mad at her for this. I'm extremely concerned and I feel like everything she has said about her wanting a baby was a lie. Abortion is also legal up to 21 weeks of pregnancy in our state. So she told me she was pregnant, she was having symptoms and took a test. She was happy about it and excited. I was happy as well and offered to make an appointment for her. We both went together and she was 6 weeks pregnant. We have been planning, she even told her friends and family. She ended up having a miscarriage at around 9 weeks. It was sudden and she was upset and I comforted her about it. It seemed very tough for her, so I did my best to try and make her feel better. I had to retrieve something from a drawer in our bedroom and I found some herbs covered under a bag. It was pennyroyal and mugwort. I was confused because I have heard of pennyroyal being used to cause self-abortions. I asked her about it and she immediately became defensive and told me that she didn't know where it came from. I kept trying to ask her about it and she ended up telling me she used it to have a miscarriage. She was crying and I was just in shock. I asked her why? I told her she didn't have to lie to me about it and I'm confused because she was the one who really wanted a baby? She didn't give me an answer about it. I told her that we need to go to the hospital to make sure she isn't hurt, since pennyroyal is toxic, but she kept declining. It's been a few days and she seems fine. I've been trying to ask her about this but she just says she doesn't want to talk about it. Apparently, she was telling her friends and family she had a miscarriage and has been accepting condolences. She's avoiding this but I don't want to push it towards her anymore. I'm not too sure what to do about this because I'm worried she might be having some type of mental breakdown or something. I eventually told her that she should not tell me about having a baby again, and I can't trust her about it anymore. She was upset hearing that, but what else could I say about something like this? This might make me a huge asshole, but in the back of my mind has been thinking she might have did this for attention from her friends and family. I'd what to do and I feel like a horrible person for even thinking this stuff. Update 1. Firstly, for some context, we have a Planned Parenthood that specializes in abortions like 5 minutes away. I understand people thinking she didn't want to get an abortion because of protesters. I completely understand. I drive by that specific place every single day for work. I have seen no protesters. It's usually empty besides a few cars on the side of the road. But, I still understand why she wouldn't want a medical abortion from reading the comments. I asked her why, what was her goal here? She was trying really hard to avoid the conversation and left the room, but, I apologize if this makes me an asshole, but I told her if we can't have a conversation about this I have to end the relationship. She came back in and said the reason why she did this was because she never felt like her family gave her enough attention in life, and didn't feel supported by them, so she wanted to tell them she had a miscarriage so they can feel bad for her. I was confused because she could have just gotten a medical abortion and lied about it instead of just harming her body with a toxic herb. I asked her about that, and she told me she wanted to have the experience of having an actual miscarriage. I was so confused and in shock, so I didn't say much else because all of this just sounded crazy to me. She told me she didn't want me mad at her and she doesn't want to break up, and she was literally begging me to not break up with her. I asked her, is there any chance the baby wouldn't have been mine? She said no. I told her she needs to get therapy ASAP. I thankfully make enough to afford therapy and I told her I will pay for her if she just please go to therapy. She agreed. I also told her she needs to go to the hospital, and I was telling her all of your comments about the septic that can happen and liver and kidney damage, and that kinda scared her into going to the hospital to get checked out. We went to the hospital last night and thankfully she is okay. Apparently she drank around 1 cup of it a day for a few days. I found out she was also taking some other things, high dose of vitamin C, turmeric, parsley. That's pretty much it for now, but I'm not too sure where to go from here. I love her and I do want to be with her, but all of this is so out of the blue. Update 2. In my last post I told her she needed to go to therapy ASAP, told her I will pay and everything. I just hoped for the love of fucking God for her to please go to therapy. That was the only thing I wanted. I haven't set up anything yet, because she told me she doesn't want to go to therapy now. She told me she will never do what she did again and doesn't believe she needs therapy. I was going back and forth with her on this, but she was very insistent on not wanting any therapy. I told her I can't move on in this relationship if she doesn't do therapy. She was arguing with me about it and told me if I loved her, I will stay in this relationship regardless, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. I was pretty pissed hearing that because not only did she purposely miscarry the baby we planned for, she harmed herself for no reason, in her words, to experience actual miscarriage, and I can't even trust her anymore. I was thinking about telling her parents at this point and I accidentally brought it up out of worry of her mental health / me being pissed off, and she begged me, got on the ground, begged me to not tell her parents. I took her word, because I didn't want her to lose her mind even more over this. I told her I absolutely have to leave this relationship. I told her it isn't my responsibility anymore because this has honestly been making me lose my mind too. I was holding it back, but I can't really take it anymore. Also yesterday, before this fight, she publicly stated on Facebook that she had a miscarriage and was tore up. about it, accepting condolences again in the comments. I brought that up to her, and she told me the same thing in my last post. She was pretty much just wanting to feel important to friends/family. She was so nonchalant about it and honestly seemed like she thought I'd think I wouldn't care. I told her to stop posting about it and to stop telling people. Back to when we were having the fight, I told her seriously I can't be with her anymore. I will allow you to stay here or you can go back to your parents. She was laying on the ground crying at this point. I had my phone ready because my gut feeling was telling me that she might do something to herself. She would come out of the room she was packing in and come close to me and hug me out of nowhere. She said that if I'm breaking up with her she wants a last final hug. The wildest thing is she came out of the room with one of my shirts on, a shirt she was not wearing before, take it off right in front of me, and tells me here's your shirt back. I don't know what she was trying to do. She finally ended up leaving and went to her parents. Right before she left she was crying and I think it started to hit her that I was actually being serious. She was messaging me and calling me constantly, ranging from her just fixing this together, saying she wants therapy now, and her saying she will never do what she did again. I've been ignoring all of it. I realize this is not my responsibility now, and her parents can take care of it. Like what my worry has been, apparently, she did try to harm herself. Her mom messaged me about it. She said that her daughter is at the hospital and I'm assuming now on a hold because she tried to kill herself. She is physically fine. That is the last of it, and I'm thinking this will be my last update. I am not going back to her, and I'm going to try and stop thinking about all of this, and get a good lock for my door. Thanks for all of the advice on the last post edit. I am telling her parents now. If anything happens I will just update it here edit too. I ended up telling her parents. I had messages relating to this between me and her, took photos of the herbs she used, told them everything. Thankfully, they didn't accuse me or do anything drastic and thanked me for telling them. They said they will tell the hospital what I told them. Not too sure what's going on at the moment or what's going to happen after since she is being held right now. I will update this if anything else happens update 3. It's been over a month since this happened and things thankfully haven't been crazy. I was in shock pretty bad during this and it started to hit me so I've been seeing a therapist about it. As for my ex, her mom has been updating me on her, mostly because how concerned I was for her. I was honestly thinking about blocking her entire family because I wanted to separate myself totally from all and never think about her again, but I decided to keep her mom on my phone for updates at the time. She was in a psych ward for 2 weeks. While I haven't been told a specific diagnosis, she was apparently in psychosis. Her mom has told me she is taking medication and is doing better. The fucked up thing is that her mom has been recently trying to get me to get back together with her, saying her daughter will be a lot happier if I go back to her. I straight up blocked her. I do not want to experience that again even if she is getting counseling and is on medication. Fuck no. I don't know why her mom is doing that. Maybe my ex is giving her a hard time over this? I don't know. Other than that it's been calm. I've came to the realization that I'm a lot happier without her in my life and I want it to stay that way. I'm going to stay single for the time being and just stick with myself. Update 4. First, let me start with the obvious. Yes, my ex has managed to find ways to insert herself back into my life despite my best efforts to set boundaries. A month after blocking her mom and cutting off all contact, I started receiving anonymous letters in my mailbox. At first, I thought they were spam, generic stuff like I miss you and I'll never give up on us. No name, no return address, but the handwriting was unmistakably hers. I ignored them, figuring she'd get bored and move on. Spoiler, she didn't. The letters escalated. They started arriving daily, then multiple times a day. She began apologizing profusely, begging me to take her back, and, bizarrely, offering to prove how much she'd changed by converting our house into a baby haven if I gave her another chance. There were detailed descriptions of cribs, baby monitors, and what paint color she'd pick for a nursery. The sheer level of detail was terrifying. I knew she wasn't well, but this was a whole new level of obsession. I reached out to her parents, against my better judgment, letting them know what was happening. Her mom apologized profusely and promised to handle it. I assumed this meant she'd have a talk with my ex or maybe involve her therapist. What I didn't expect was for her mom to show up at my doorstep 2 days later with my ex in tow. Her mom had apparently decided that a face-to-face conversation was the solution to everything. Cue the most awkward and tense interaction of my life. My ex was in tears, sobbing about how she'd been working on herself and how her psychiatrist had diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder, BPD. She claimed that the psychosis was a one-time thing and that the new meds she was on had changed her life. I stayed calm and polite but told them, again, that I couldn't be part of her healing journey. Her mom started guilt-tripping me, saying things like, "She's better because of you, and you're her anchor." I told them both, firmly, that I wasn't interested and asked them to leave. This didn't go over well. My ex got hysterical, crying and screaming that I was throwing away everything we had. Her mom was trying to calm her down, but honestly, it felt like she was enabling her more than helping. I eventually threatened to call the police if they didn't leave. They finally did, but not before my ex threw one last curveball. She claimed she was pregnant again. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Obviously, I didn't believe her. She'd pulled similar stunts before, and I wasn't about to get sucked into her manipulative games. But just to cover my bases, I told her if she wanted me to take her seriously, she'd need to provide proof, an official doctor's note or something. She sputtered and stormed off, saying I was heartless and didn't deserve to be a father. For a week or so after that, things were quiet. Then I got a call from a mutual friend, let's call her Sarah, who told me my ex had been telling everyone she was pregnant with my child and that I was a deadbeat dad who refused to take responsibility. Sarah, bless her, didn't believe a word of it but thought I should know. I immediately texted my ex, telling her to stop spreading lies or I'd involve my lawyer. She didn't respond, but the rumors stopped shortly after. Just when I thought things couldn't get weirder, they did. About a week ago, I noticed a car parked across the street from my house. It wasn't always there, but it would show up at odd hours, late at night, early in the morning, and stay for hours. I couldn't see who was inside because the windows were tinted, but I had a sinking feeling it was her. I called the non-emergency police line, and they sent someone to check it out. By the time they arrived, the car was gone. The next day, I installed security cameras around my property. Sure enough, the car showed up again that night, and this time, the cameras caught her. She wasn't just sitting in her car, she was walking around my yard, peering into my windows. The footage sent a chill down my spine. I immediately sent it to the police and filed a restraining order. Since then, I haven't seen the car again, but I'm staying vigilant. I've been working closely with a lawyer to ensure all my bases are covered legally, and I've also been documenting everything in case this escalates further. I'm trying to move forward with my life, but it's hard when you're constantly looking over your shoulder. In terms of my personal life, I'm doing my best to focus on healing. Therapy has been a godsend, and I've started reconnecting with old friends and picking up hobbies I'd neglected during the relationship. It's been a long, difficult road, but I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. As for my ex, I genuinely hope she gets the help she needs. But I've learned the hard way that you can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. If there's one silver lining in all of this, it's that I now have a much clearer understanding of what I want, and don't, want, in a relationship. Now on to second story. Ex-boyfriend dumped me via email after my cancer diagnosis. Now I have to face him and his wife at a career event. When I was 21, I dated a guy who was too old for me. Kevin was 37, an older student in my university program. I'd just gotten out of a bad relationship and thought Kevin was great. Of course, it was red flags all over the place, but I was so naive back then that stupid me didn't question this. Kevin and I dated for 6 months. He quickly told me that he loved me and asked me, pretty aggressively, to move to his home city to be with him after graduation. Great, right? Still ignoring the red flags. Except in my last semester, I was diagnosed with cancer and my world kind of fell apart after that. The day I got my diagnosis, Kevin made out with another woman at a party in front of me, and I left the party in tears. He broke up with me that night by email saying that we weren't a good fit anymore because of my impending medical emergency, that he was only with me because he took pity on me after the end of my previous abusive relationship, and by the way, all our friends thought I was annoying and no one liked me. I felt punched in the gut. My memories of that week are a blur. I had to drop out in the middle of the semester and get a medical leave of absence with the university. In the meantime, Kevin would follow me around campus demanding to know why I wouldn't talk to him and that I forgive him. I remember looking at him like he was insane. So you're apologizing for what you did? I asked. Of course not, I didn't do anything wrong, he answered. But it's not fair that you're angry at me like this. I told him to go to hell and just focused on getting my paperwork squared away and moving back home for what became a lot of chemo. Honestly, this period of my life was a fucking nightmare and I don't like thinking about it. I became suicidal and was diagnosed with depression, so I was seeing a psychiatrist while getting chemo. I lost most of my friends because I guess people didn't know how to deal with my illness. A few stuck by me and those people are not only still my friends today but now I even work with some of them. In the months after I left school, Kevin would badger me over text saying he didn't know what happened between us and demanding again that I forgive him. I was in the middle of more chemo so I told him I forgave him just so he'd leave me alone. As soon as I forgave him, he vanished and I never heard from him again. I blocked him on Facebook just to be sure he couldn't slink back. Later that year, between chemo, I run into this strange woman at a university event off campus. I've never met her before, have no idea who she is. A bunch of students and alumni are having dinner together and she's talking about her fiancé. Guess who it is? Kevin, of course. I'm confused because a few months of dating is a short time to know someone before you get engaged, but what do I know since Kevin was very fast in telling me he loved me and asking me to move in with him. But when I ask how long they've been together, she says something crazy like 3 years. At this point I'm in total shock and realize Kevin was having an affair with me, that our whole time together was a lie. I had no idea. I left in a daze and cried in the parking lot. In hindsight I should have warned this woman, but at the time I was in shock, sick, not interested in starting drama at a table full of strangers, and I was exhausted. I thought later of finding her on Facebook but I didn't know her name and I worried telling her would start another round of harassment from Kevin, so I dropped it. So the good news is, I'm obviously still here and happily in remission. 2 years after leaving school, I finally felt human again and went back to finish my degree. By then I was doing really good. Made new friends, finished therapy, started my career. Life is totally different now. I'm well known in my field and have been invited back to my university as a guest of honor. My professors want me to speak to the students and I'll have a chance to network with other visiting alumni who are a big deal in my industry. It's an amazing opportunity and I was looking forward to it. Only problem is, I saw Kevin's on the guest list, and so is a woman sharing his last name who I assume is his now wife. When I saw it, my heart sank. The guest list is small, maybe 50 alumni, so we're bound to run into each other. I can't not go because this event is important and I already promised I'd be there. Plus, I don't want to avoid doing things out of fear of running into this asshole from my past. How do I handle running into Kevin again? Do I treat him like a stranger? What if he tries hugging me like we're old friends? It's something he would do. I also have no clue if I should say something to his wife. I don't want to open this can of worms from my past. I'm losing sleep over this and don't know what to do. Update 1. Well, thanks for your feedback, guys. Wanted to give you an update. So something I failed to mention in my last post is that my mom used to teach at my alma mater before she recently retired. She didn't know about my brief relationship with Kevin years ago. After writing my post, I decided to share with her everything that happened. Mom immediately got this weird look on her face and said she knew exactly who I was talking about because she used to teach in my department. She said, "I don't think Kevin will be a problem for you." When I asked why, she said, "Trust me, you'll see. That guy is kind of a loser." So I went to the event, and it was amazing. I took some of the advice here and brought a girlfriend so I would never be alone in case Kevin tried to pull something. I met a bunch of alumni and ran into a couple people who I lost touch with when I got sick. Everybody were thrilled to hear how well I'm doing, and my speech got an ovation when I was done. Anyway, Kevin showed up with his wife. I don't know how to say this without sounding mean, but he's gotten fat and is going bald. I was surprised at how old he looked until someone told me he's almost 50 now, which means he lied to me when we were dating and said he was younger than he really was. Also, I heard from old classmates that Kevin is still studying for his degree, plus working nights as a security guard now. Kevin was the only person at the event who avoided me. It was obvious. I thought he was going to avoid me all night until I accidentally found myself alone for 30 seconds, which is when he nervously approached me to congratulate me. I smiled, said, "Thanks," and kept moving. He tried cracking a dumb joke to me later but I just ignored him, which seemed to frustrate him. Overall I just spent the night focused on the people around me and forgot he existed. Interestingly, he managed to repeatedly piss off a bunch of people, including his wife and one of the deans, throughout the night with stupid comments. It got so bad that people started a running joke about what an insensitive moron Kevin was. I'm so glad I went and didn't allow one jerk from my past to make me hide. I had a great time and was surprised at how unafraid I felt when I saw Kevin again. The memories from that time of my life were so traumatic, but now he's just some jackass I once knew. I'm not sure now WTF I ever saw in him or why I was ever scared of him. Oh, and by the way, I recently started a great new job that came with a big raise, which means I'll have my student loans paid off this year. Life is good.